Ladies and gentlemen, as we all know, with A representing artificial intelligence, B for blockchain, C for cloud, and D for data analytics, technology is the way forward. We shall now head on to the very first fireside chat on decoding how technology can be a driver for culture and growth for ITES companies. I take the opportunity to invite on stage Ms. Uma Venkatraman, co-founder and CEO, Ixsight Technologies, to kindly moderate the session. An engineer and an MBA, Ms. Venkatraman co-founded Ixsight Technologies with the dream to create proprietary IP-based products for the global market. Give it up for Ms. Venkatraman, ladies and gentlemen. We are also joined by Mr. Sandeep Kumar, founder and CEO, ProductDossier Solutions Private Limited. ProductDossier, a professional services automation software, is being used by esteemed organizations like Quest Global, Tata Technologies, Quality Kiosk, Onward Technologies, to name a few, and has offices in India and USA, with clients being spread across 27 countries across the globe. Over to you, ma'am.
Hello. Hello, everybody. It's a great pleasure to be here today talking to you all. So we will not delay between asking Sandeep some very interesting questions. One thing I'll tell you, he's going to talk about how to generate revenue and make it profitable using his solutions. Fit to purpose, opportunity to profit are some of the catchwords and key phrases that he constantly uses. So Sandeep, welcome to the fireside chat. And while we'll go ahead with other questions, can you give us a quick overview of what your solutions do?
Thank you, Uma. Thank you. Good morning, everybody. So can I use a couple of slides?
Definitely, definitely.
Sure. Thank you. Just a second. Where is No, I need the slide move. Okay. Yeah, good morning, everybody. I grew up in Delhi. I left Delhi in 90, actually. And as I was walking the lanes of Janpath and Connaught Place this morning, I got up a little bit early. I realized, Delhi has really grown in terms of everything, in terms of infrastructure, in terms of culture, and all those things. And that's what I'm going to talk about, the growth today, right? Okay, so that's what, the growth thing. If you look at countries or individuals, all countries grow at their own pace. All individuals grow at their own pace. And what really, drives this growth for countries? For example, it's the government, it's the residents, it's their culture, right? And same with the individual, basically how the individual has been brought up, what's the culture he has been brought up, and then late in life, what choices the individual make, that ultimately defines the growth of the individual. So this is very similar for the organizations. I mean, all of you sitting here run organizations or part of the organizations, and what choices we make, what culture we make, that's what will define our growth. So before I go to the next slide, I would ask a quick raise of hands. How many people here are with companies 0 to 500 people? Okay, that's about 20, 25, 30%. How many between 500 to 1,000? Okay, there are a handful there. And what about 1,000 and above? Okay, so there, that is also a little bit handful. So wherever we are, basically our aspiration is how do we go from here to the next level, right? That's what we all trying to do in our organizations and so in our individual life. So before we jump to the solution as to what can we do, let me step back and say, what are the challenges each one of our, and especially in the context of ITES organization we face, and if we understand these challenges, it will be easier to find a solution and adapt to that. So if you look at it, in every organization I have seen, and I have visited many of every size, the first challenge is basically their estimations. At the time of opportunity, I see it's very ad hoc kind of estimations. Lot depends upon who is doing it, right? Because their mindset. And then what happens there itself is basically the optimization of the proposal, the winnability of the proposal is decided there. What we may be thinking a 50% profitability may not be actually that. And the reason is there is really no sort of process there. There is really no template or standard cost masters and things like that. And that kind of, that is the first step. The second thing is, today, if a runner is going to do a 100-meter race or a 200-meter race, and if there is no finish line, so when we are setting up the project manager very often doesn't know what is the planned profitability of the project, right? So that is another challenge. When we are setting up project, more often we are setting up only for the engineering deliverables and not for the project profitability, project revenue, revenue forecast, and all of those things. So that sort of a enablement, empowerment is not there in organization. Coming to the third one, resource allocation. Now this is a big problem, right? Because this is the main currency in ITES organization, and today we don't have a very good way. In one project, I am running a revenue loss, and in another project, basically I am having a bench. I mean, not in the project, but in the organization there is a bench, and there is no matching of these resources from bench to the project. So as a result, organization faces a revenue loss. Can I have some water? Just a second. So that's the third problem, the utilization of a resources. How do we improve that? Because the moment you improve the utilization, it will actually convert into dollar value for your revenues. So that's the third problem. The fourth one is now many processes. One of the processes is billing. People have invested in technology, still the billing process is very manual. The last 10 days of the month or the first 10 days of the next month, actually teams are spending in just compiling data for billing in Excel sheets. And more often, there are problems, there is a reconciliation issue, and they spend a lot of time. And then, by the time it goes to the customer, it is already, 10, 15 days delay, and by virtue of that, actually you are losing money on the table. So this is a DSO example, but each process. And then you have some other challenges like integrated delivery, quality, customer satisfaction, and all that. Tracking plan versus actual, lack of visibility and control, and lack of actionable insights. So if you see, these are the challenges which every company is facing. And it becomes even a bigger thing because people are tracking this in isolation. They are not integrated. But in reality, they are really integrated, and it should be tackled in a very integrated fashion. So these are now, what is the solution which can sort of give us a respite if we adopt that, right? So today, if you look at it, many organizations, the starting point is they have some accounting system or ERP system, and they have, either a CRM system like the likes of Salesforce or smaller ones. So they have adopted. So can I get a quick raise of hands? How many people are using at least, accounting or CRM software in the organizations? So I see almost everybody has something. The real problem, and that is also the solution, is where you actually execute your business, your projects, there are a lot of white spaces there. There is really no single technology which people are using or which has become a standardized thing. What people are doing today, it's a lot of Excel, Lot of Excel people are relying on, which is Excel is a great software, but is it scalable software? Is it going to take you from 500 to 1500 people and beyond? That's the question. And the second thing what people are using is, when you talk to them about project management and everything, all people are talking of Jira or the likes of that. That's only the technical part of the project management. But are you managing project P&L? Is as sold margin same as your as executed margin? So those are the questions people don't have answers to. And it is only a post-mortem. After it is done, people are looking at it. So there is a technology here which is called professional services automation. This is a technology, it's between CRM and ERP. And what it does is, it gives you an integrated solution for all your 3 core functions: project delivery, project financials, and the resource management. And it is further integrated to left and right. And that can give you a single version of truth. And there is a lot of detail capability here. I'll not go into the detail. But as organizations, because you are largely ITES is project-driven organization, we should really look at it very seriously. Very often people say, I am too small right now, I don't need it. You may not be needing it now, right? A 7-year-old person is not going to play in Wimbledon, but still her parents put her into the coaching classes. Because when she will turn 15, she will need to have all that years of experience. And that's exactly what we have to think. We are not thinking of today, we are talking of growth. So for looking at your growth, you have to think seriously at something like this. Okay, so that brings me to the end. I want to talk to Uma, and so I'll just, these are the benefits you will get, like revenue, governance, integration, culture building. But importantly, if you adopt technologies like this, it improves the thinking process of the organization. So today you may be thinking at this level, and when I say you, it doesn't mean you as a CEO or the founder. It means the entire organization. And when you adopt technologies like this, the entire organization starts thinking at this level. And that's where the progress happens. So in my view, this is a very important piece, and thank you very much.
Yeah, I think Sandeep has answered a lot of the questions on the slides. But I'm going to try and ask him something different now, because I was supposed to ask you a couple of questions.
Sure,
you
sure.
took it away now. So,
You can
okay.
ask.
So I'll tell you something from my experience also. Even though we are a small company, you are absolutely right. I have to actually arrange and engineer meetings between my CFO and between my tech delivery team and my sales team to actually, bring together what the sales guy promised the customer, what the delivery team is experiencing, and what the CFO is telling. They don't talk to each other. And then I have to say, can you minute it and highlight what are the issues? So I really appreciate what you're saying, and we've been trying that for the last 6 months without any software. And whenever we have tried to use any of these, Zoho or CRM, those are CRM tools, we have failed. So my question really is, how really do you enable this implementation in your organization? In any organization, it's really difficult. All these systems are very fancy, but it takes a lot of time.
A good question, and I agree, it looks difficult, but you have to, and you know for a fact, that there are many organizations who have done it. So the first belief is that it can be done, and that is very heartening, right? Because you are not the first one. And I think the way to this software implementation, while we are saying it's a software implementation, but it is actually people change management. They are brought up in a certain habit, and it takes time to change habits. So, but my own experience is, in one customer we implemented, there were about 800,000 people, and when they bought the software, there was resistance. There was resistance after 6 months, after 1 year, and after 2 years too. But their CEO, or the chief sponsor, he stood like a rock. He said, look, this has to work. If you have a problem, you come to me and I'll solve that problem. But if you are telling me, or any other excuse, I'm not going to listen to it. And that was like a stick sort of thing, right? And on the ground level, he told me, Sandeep, look, you have to show empathy. You have to really make people believe that it is their product. They are doing it and not something which has been thrust upon them. And work on people change management. And we did exactly that. And today, the same people who were saying, why I need the software, 2 years later they said, I cannot work without the software. So I think it's the persistence and perseverance of the organization which makes it happen. And of course, the software has to be capable, people who are implementing, all those are hygiene things.
Yeah, okay. So I take that point, but I still think it's a lot, it requires a lot of energy, it requires a lot of effort, and I think the rewards are huge. So in terms of profitability, I mean, can you give some numbers as to what was the difference? If you have had any such experience, what difference did it make to the organization?
Oh yes, absolutely. So our customers today, like I'll give you some quantitative numbers. First, more ground level and then maybe more financial. When they started their project creation, somebody in the US used to make a request, and by the time people used to create a project in the system, they were using some homegrown system, it used to take 3-4 days. And later it becomes only 20 minutes, by the time they initiated a request, it went onto the system and the project was ready to be created, to be executed. So that was one parameter. The second thing what they achieved was, there was a lot of back and forth. They fill out a form and then the next person who will review it, they'll say, this 3 information is missing. So it will come back. So there was a lot of rework. And what they achieved now is basically first time right. So now the software ensures that if the 10 information is required at stage A, that is filled and that is then sent to the next time. So simple thing, right? It's not rocket science, it's very common sense. But now it has become a culture, there is no back and forth. And in terms of revenue and profitability, I think the organization is experiencing at least a 2 to 5% revenue growth because of software technology impact. And how they are doing it is, they have everybody who matters in the organization, the delivery, the salespeople, they have visibility in real time of the bench. So even if as a salesperson I am sitting with the customer, I can look at the bench and I say, look, I have these few skills of CATIA, few people available on CATIA, I can start tomorrow. And that's how they are improving their utilization, which is directly converting into revenue. Similarly, on the profitability side, they have now a culture of making a budget for the project. And today what happens in most organizations, project manager knows that these are the best 5 resources in the company and he kind of overtakes them, doesn't release them, and they are very expensive. But now if you want to take the best people, your budget gets deducted and if your profitability will show up. So people have learned to live with a mixed team, a sort of a pyramid structure they are following in the project. So I think their profitability has gone up.
Okay. That's good. So we have another question here. What is the right time for this kind of implementation? At what stage of the ITES company they should start the thinking process?
I think it's now, but that's on the lighter side. But on the serious note, I think while up to you are 300 people or something, I think there are still some heroes in the organization who can manage it and pull it through. And that's what we have been seeing. But if you have aspirations to go from 300 to 1,000 and then beyond, this is one of your growth drivers. So I think for me, that is like an inflection point where you should start looking at it. Because the more delay you do, you will have to do people change management of that many more people. So, but if you set up some processes, at least the beginning, and you don't have to do entire thing in one go. You just have to make a beginning so the organization knows that is how my organization thinks and works. So I think about 300 people, I would say, is the sort of a right point.
300?
Yeah.
You keep saying PSA, okay, so this PSA word I'm hearing only from you. I don't know whether it's a industry terminology or you invented that? Can I credit you with having, coined that word, and can you just throw a little light on that?
No, I wouldn't take credit for that. So it's a term which is more prevalent in the western part of the world, professional services automation. But we are, you can say we are one of the first ones in India to sort of talk about it, to bring it to the customers, and so that credit we can take. But it is, if you ask me what is PSA, and when I hear somebody first time, I said, it is very common sense thing, right? What we are talking. So it's nothing great. I mean, in the sense, common sense is great, of course. So it's a very common sense. Today, our only thing what we are telling companies is, you are looking projects more from an engineering point of view. I am saying, please start looking at projects from a more holistic point of view, which includes your financials and engineering. As a company, you are always looking into your P&L, your balance sheets and all. So why can't we do the same treatment for our projects and make it a company culture? That's all we are saying.
I totally agree with you on this. Even as a product company, and we are not an ITES company, we actually don't bill on resources, but I think this is becoming very critical for us. One final question before we ask the audience. You being a product company, what have you done differently to win in this difficult marketplace, and what would be your advice to product companies here, or those who want to do the transformation to being a product company?
A good question, Uma. When we started in 2006, we also went to VC. We didn't get funding. And that time I was a little sad that we haven't got funding. But today when I look back, I think that is the best thing which happened to us, that we didn't get funding. And one thing which we didn't really knew on day one that we are going to do like this, but it has happened, is that we have evolved our own product so that the customer becomes more successful. We have never seen, you can say, and Shivani, our marketing head, is here, and we have always discussed that, we won't invest our money in marketing, in billboards and putting out, a lot of dollars there, but we would invest in our customer success. So as a product company, from a marketing perspective, we invested in our customer. Few customers in the beginning, we made them very successful. We made them very sticky. And we also got a lot in return. We learned so much from the practitioners, and we have seen them growing from 500 people to 1,000 to 2,000 to 20,000, right? So, and all that learning, then we have a back office room where, our team, founding team, we sit down, we generalize whatever our learning and build a bigger product. So one advice I would, give to anybody who is building, don't think short term. If you, like we were earlier selling like an engineering project management, which in my mind, it's a nice to have. But when you are in a product business, you have to have a must-have software category. Otherwise, there is limited future. Focus on the customer success. They will make you rich. Nobody else can. And also, then we looked at how we deliver, how the enterprise software is delivered. Today, we have a lot of global enterprise softwares like the SAP and the Oracles of the world. But if you look at it, who is doing the selling? Who is doing the implementation? It is only the freshers or maybe a little bit senior. So customer is only getting that knowledge. And then the moment you sell, there is a lot of, customer feeling uncomfortable in approaching. There is a little bit of arrogance and all that, right? So that gave us a thought that we should build a value system. We should do something differently. Today, the combination of intellect and humility is rare in the market, whether it's a vendor or it's an individual. I have seen many, many highly intellect people, but they were so arrogant that their intellect was not useful to them and forget about anybody else. So we as an organization are actually focusing on this power of two, where we are saying, you know, we will give the best software, but we will also make the customer that he can approach us even in the middle of the night. And I think that is working very well for us.
Thank you. I think that's also the missing, that's the ingredient which should be added to your process tool as well. So financial plus process plus customer, I think is a winning combination. A single question anybody wants to ask? Yeah.
Your thoughts.
2 minutes.
Question number one is that I see that you have an office in US. We are at a stage, we are an 11-year-old company now, and we are now at a stage where we want to go outside India. A lot of people, continuously tell me that there is no need to have a physical presence outside India and you can still do business. I would want to understand from you and maybe from Uma also, or maybe from somebody else that, how does this work? The second question that I have is that I believe
Can you
that
just leave it with one because we'll run short of time. I think we are one question.
Well, okay, fair enough. Then this is the question.
Yeah, so it really depends upon what kind of business you are in. If you are in an enterprise software where, it's a long-term association, customer is really investing their mission-critical processes onto your software, then you need proximity to the customer, absolutely. But if you are in a different kind of software where the risk is lower but the decision making, I think you can do it remotely. That's my short answer.
I think we have completed the overshot. Rather.
Many thanks for the insightful discussion and for sharing your fresh perspectives on the topic. I now request Ms. Uma to hand over the speaker's kit to Mr. Sandeep.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Capturing the moment with a beautiful picture.
Thank you.